Welcome to Brevard News, your home for real news in Brevard County. My name is Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And I am joined by the new commissioner-elect, Katie Delaney, our co-host, and also joining us is the ever-talented Stale Bailey, who is published the Advocate Online, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a lot to talk about, but before we get to those things, our quote of the week: truth is great and will prevail if left to herself. She is the proper and sufficient antagonist to error and has nothing to fear from the conflict unless by human interposition, disarmed of her natural weapons of free argument and debate. Think about that. Think about all of the people who are talking about misinformation and disinformation. Just let the truth get out there. Let people talk. The truth will get out. My dad used to say all of the time that the truth can go, a lie can go all the way around the world before truth gets its pants on. And ultimately that happens. I believe in free speech for everyone. No censorship to free speech. Let people talk and the truth will get out. On this week's episode of Brevard News, Katie Delaney wins in a landslide. I think. Other election results we'll look at: Titusville man paralyzed by sewage speaks out, more evidence on election interference during the Titusville elections, firefighter resignations. The city manager of Titusville is poised to receive yet another raise. Potential approval of Robert Jordan to the hospital board is moved up. And also taking a look at maybe the Titusville's trespass ordinance. I think we might put that one on the back burner and we'll talk about that later. But first, congratulations, Commissioner-elect. Is that what we should say? Katie Delaney. This is a monumental victory for the people. And so really you had a lot going against you as you started way back when. How do you feel, and what walk me through what you thought about as the election results came in and it was final?
I am just so humbled. I don't, I never expected to run for office. And with the amount of pushback and the struggles and the work it took to get to this point, I mean, I'm just so thankful for the people.
And the people did it. I mean, it was really them that made the difference. I mean, when you look at it, you were outgunned on from an endorsement point of view and also from the money, right?
Right.
But the people made the difference, right?
Especially in the primary.
Oh, really? In the
Right.
primary, for sure.
For sure.
And then on the other side of it, I mean, you came out and really you kicked the doors in. I mean, you're almost up at 65% of the electorate. It's just amazing. Were you surprised by the amount?
I was surprised by the amount of people. I mean, 40,000 people voted for me, and that just, wow.
Well, the brand of Katie Delaney has actually increased, and it's because of the fact that a lot of people say that you have spoken to the people. You're not talking over them like many politicians do. You're talking the language of the people, and that seemed to matter. Is that what you've heard as you were around?
Definitely. I mean, one of the things that, just as a citizen, I remember going into the commission for the first time and finding it so weird and intimidating that the dais is set up the way it is. And
Well, it's like they're speaking from heaven, aren't they?
right.
I mean,
And
it's
people.
pretty high. Can you make a motion to pull that down some?
I would love to, but the thing that I focused on was we're supposed to be public servants. And so how dare a public servant walk into a room and act like they're above the people? And so I never wanted to come off that way. And that was just always the first thing that was in my mind is if you're stepping up into this field to be a leader and to be a representative of the people, you need to be where the people are.
Correct.
You need to know what the people's struggles are, what their needs are, what their desires are. Because sometimes we get to do some pretty fun stuff too. It's not all about the needs. When all the needs are met, there's some fun stuff we get to do too. And so we don't get to know those things, the temperature of the community, unless we're in the community.
And that's really one of the problems that you don't see with politicians today, that they are willing to actually engage with people.
Right.
I mean, it's almost becoming an aristocracy. I mean,
Hmm.
and the people or the politicians are living way above the people, and they seem that the people are not someone they really want to engage with.
Absolutely.
That's really a tragedy. Now, you're going to be sworn in on the 19th of this month,
Yes.
and it's at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Are all invited?
Of course. Yeah.
Let's make this the Katie Delaney show, and it's going to
Oh
be
gosh.
where?
At the commission room
The commission
in
room,
Vieira.
the 19th of November
Hmm.
at 5 o'clock. All are welcome. Let's come out in full force and show everyone the amount of support that Katie Delaney has. Now, there were other elections that went on that night in the county commission. You had also Kim Atkinson.
Hmm.
She won
District
District
3.
3. And also then we had Thad Altman, who
Yes.
won in District 5. Would that
Yes.
be correct? And so once again, you have a county commission that's really full of Republicans. I guess that's part for the course in this county. What do you expect as you go in with these elections, and what do you expect to look at on the first day?
Well, one of the things that I'm anticipating is, I am somebody who sees the picture of Brevard right now, and I see the rushing to develop every square inch of land, and I feel like I'm probably, as far as the people who are elected, I'm probably in the minority of believing that we need to pump the brakes, come up with a plan so that we're not destroying our community as we grow. And so what I want to bring forward basically is something that is just common sense, thought out plans and policy that are indisputable because they're logical for our community. That's what I would like to do. And whatever we're doing, we need to be doing it in the best interest of our people.
What a novel idea. It's an idea that everyone should be thinking about, but it's not often the case. Now, there was also some elections in Titusville, and so we had Sarah Stokel, who won in seat 3, and Andrew Connor won in the mayoral race as well. Any comments on those two races? Other than, boy, Titusville's in trouble. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think the results were surprising. It'll be interesting to see moving forward. It's also just confusing to see those results when one of the top issues when you're talking to voters in the city of Titusville is water. Clean water, a clean Indian River Lagoon, the failure to keep up with infrastructure, transparency, their own survey results showing that they have lack trust within the government. And so I think these results, although very close in the mayor race, I think that needs to be pointed out, how
So it's really one
close
of the
that
more
was.
competitive mayoral races
Yes.
in Titusville in some time, right?
Yes, yes, and it was so close. And so I think that speaks volumes too. I think you have a majority of people that liked Vicky, and then you had the other half of voters who voted for Andrew. So
How much did the controversy play into that, do you think?
I think it played into it a great deal. I think there was a lot of interference in this election, and it wasn't really filled with integrity. And I think there's a lot of concerns surrounding that, not just from county advocates, but also from community members
The
themselves.
controversy doesn't happen. Do you think Vicky wins?
I think she would have won if they would have played fair.
Yeah.
Yes. I think the District 1 County Commission race was a perfect example of how a race should go. They were respectful of one another. They agreed among one another that they weren't going to play dirty tactics. I also think that you saw that with Megan Moscasco and Billy Specht in their race, and how respectful they were to one another and how they treated one another. And I think moving forward, that's what voters are going to be looking for.
The Stokel win is probably really interesting that she, one, says continues to maintain steadfast opposition to the enactment of the Clean Water Amendment. Also, some of the other things that she's spoken out against on free speech and some of these things. I wonder if she's ever read the Constitution, because she's really just doesn't seem like a constitutional candidate. It's really shocking. Do you think that people didn't understand what she stood for, or was that fuzzy?
I think there's a lot of people that aren't physically or mentally engaged with the local politics. And so they have to base their decisions on one-on-one discussions with these candidates or word of mouth. And so I think what plays a big role in these decision making is the fact that people aren't showing up to the city council meetings and having those one-on-one discussions with these politicians and dealing with the simple fact that they don't feel heard or their issues not being addressed. And it's not until people really have an issue or get involved that they realize, wow, it's the leadership that makes the difference in my community, because they're the ones making these decisions that impact me directly.
Particularly the local elections. I mean, the local elections are going to have more of an impact on you than the national elections in a lot of ways, right?
Yes. And I think there's a lot to learn. And I am pretty proud of the community because I can tell that at least half of the voters are paying attention. They know the issues, they're watching the issues, they're doing their research, they're looking at, the right to clean water. And for me, that's a constitutional issue because they haven't certified those votes. And I don't even know how the city is moving forward and certifying anything, certifying an election when they haven't even certified that 2022 election.
Well, Stale. Well, they forgot about that. Right?
The biggest thing that I hope is that I hope and pray that the leadership in Titusville humbles themselves before the people and serves the best that they can. That's what I really hope.
You could only pray that that happens, and that they would actually look at the fact that we are all elected politicians are elected to serve the people, and that the people are the bosses. They're the ones in control, and it's going to take a little bit for people to actually, the politicians, to understand that. Cocoa, same thing there. Those people seem like they're worse off than the ones in Titusville. They have some bad things going on in Cocoa.
So the mayor race, Mayor Blake won that, and I think Alan did a really good job. He was in the race, and it seems he got in late. And for somebody that got in so late, I think he did pretty good. He got his signage out there. He tried to get his message out there, and I think there's some complaints within the community about how Mayor Blake and how the city in general runs their city. And there's Cocoa residents not happy with it, and they're not feeling heard, but they also feel biased towards them, like a disdain for the public. And so hopefully moving forward, they take that feedback and change the way that they run these meetings so that they're not talking down and belittling people in the community. Hopefully.
Okay.
We can only hope.
Did you see the look on my
Yes,
face?
yes,
Okay. Maybe that's what that was. National elections, and so that's interesting how that went. Any comment on the national elections?
Well, it was pretty overwhelming how our country felt. You can just look at the map and see
They don't
the
want to say
result.
that it was a landslide.
No,
This was
it was a landslide.
we called it in high school football a skull dragging.
Yeah.
This
And
was
then
a
especially, the news was getting everybody ready for, oh, it's going to take a few weeks. We're not going to know for a few weeks. And it was like the results were so overwhelming that it was that night,
So the issue was, do you think that it was more, and there's a lot of questions under why would people vote for Trump? But I mean, when you look at how things are in our country, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious
Right.
that people are tired of inflation. They're tired of a lot of the things that are going on. Would that be the case, Stell?
Yeah, I agree. But I also want to recognize and acknowledge the people that are feeling defeated this week too, and worried and concerned because they're worried about the future and the immense amount of changes that may happen. And I think change is scary for people. And so I just hope that they know that they have an ally here, and that when we talk about protecting your constitutional rights and we talk about your freedom of speech, like we really mean that. And that goes for all people.
Right.
But that's what the problem is. I mean, it seems to me that what you see in politics today is that many of your politicians are not abiding by the Constitution. Many of them have never seemed like they even read the Constitution. I
Right.
mean, they're going against things that are embedded in the Constitution. Am I wrong?
No, I even wonder about even our community leaders here locally, let alone on a national level. I feel like they're not respecting our rights.
Right.
And it's really scary because if they go for your neighbor, they're going to come for you. And we really have to get serious about educating people about not just civic engagement in government and how government works and how we the people are up here. A lot of people have the misconception that it's city council, city manager, and we're down here somewhere.
Correct.
And that's
Correct.
not how it operates.
That would be like me coming to your house and instead of being a guest thinking that I'm running your household.
Yes.
And that's kind of where the people are, right? In many regards, and that's sad. Rock Timmons officially settles a lawsuit with the city of Titusville due to his paralysis from Ross to sewage, and so that hit the fan this week, and a lot of information, on television. The Orlando news media covered it as well as also here in Brevard County. You guys surprised by this?
No, I'm actually really incredibly proud of Rock Timmons for going public with this. He just turned 18. This happened to him when he was a child. He was a preteen. And I think you're going to see so much come out of this incredible human being and this family. It took a lot for them to have courage to not only take on the city and to try to hold them accountable for this sewage spill and the impacts that this had on health, but to also go public and to continue speaking out because the city hasn't been the best when it comes to addressing it. I think they're more worried about their appearances and what it looks like instead of worried about actually stepping up to the plate and saying this will never happen again. And I will say, Dan Diesel was the only one to say that. We've got to make sure this never happens again.
$70,000. I still can't get over the fact that this kid only received $70,000. He's paralyzed. His medical cost, $70,000 is nothing.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing to me. More evidence on election interference with Chief Lau on behalf of Andrew Connors. And so the Titusville Police Department, we did get a report on that. And it was the Titusville Police Department that initiated the call to go to Richard Jones's house. And so we were correct in what we reported. That it was the Titusville Police that initiated the call. And so they did that on behalf of Andrew Connors, who it was perceived by him, which is very subjective, I think. It was perceived by him that there was some kind of threat against Robin Fisher that was made by Richard Jones. And so, so it's revealed that Chief Lau's wife may have worked for the state's attorney's office. There's just so many things that are happening here. And we don't know this for sure, but it looks like that's a possibility. All of the things that are happening with this and this, it's troubling. Am I wrong? Some of the things that are happening here, you wonder if there needs to be some outside help called in. I mean, it's getting to that case where you begin to wonder if we really need some outside help to come in. This is out of control. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. There's way too many questions surrounding incidents, not just one incident. Numerous incidents that have occurred. And I do believe it will not hurt to have a federal investigation come in because there is so much trust eroded with the government as it is and the people. And the whole situation of the Titusville Police Department initiating that and it happening to other people as well, it just makes you question, are they using their positions of power to intimidate citizens, and are they abusing those positions of power?
Well, there's been so many things that has happened that it looks like it's more than a coincidence. Now, we talked to Richard Jones, and that interview will be coming up this week, and you'll be able to hear it on Brevard News Investigates. Firefighters, the resignation continue. And so we're up to over 90 resignations. No end in sight, Katie? The lifeline has been thrown out, I guess, with you now being on the county commission for you to advocate for them.
All I can say is that I I know how horrible it's been for our firefighters, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make it right for them. And once hopefully I'm able to do that, I'm going to be calling every single person that left our home here in Brevard County, and frankly, I'm going to beg them to come back because we need your experience. We need you to come back. And I know that politicians have come and gone, and they've all said the same thing. Oh, we support public safety, but I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that our people are taken care of.
A forensic audit possible?
I'm sorry?
Forensic audit?
That would be great. I mean, again, I'm just one vote, but that would be incredible.
Why do we not have an audit?
So there are audits that are done, but a forensic audit is something that's very in depth. I mean, it is like,
Well, it seems like it needs to happen because I'm wondering what is
Right.
happening to the money that I pay for my property taxes that goes to.
right?
I mean, it's just a simple question. I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah,
What is happening to the money?
yeah. That's a great question.
We need to know where is the money going. I mean, if it's earmarked
Right.
for fire and rescue, where is the money going? It's just a simple question.
There are some things that we can do as a county that can make sure that that money stays in fire rescue. And so I'm definitely going to be talking to the county attorney about that and see what we have to do to make sure that that happens.
Okay, so that brings us also in fire and rescue. They actually, what do you even say to this? They actually posted a job title that they hired a person for fire and rescue, with the working title of fire and rescue human resources and staffing specialist. And this person is going to be making $70,000 a year with benefits 100. You can't make this up. Over $100,000. Funding for this position will be absorbed in Fire and Rescue 2024-25 budget. If approved, the appointment will become effective with the pay period beginning October 26, 2024. So this was last month. Thank you for your consideration, and please contact me if questions. And this is from Frank Abate. I thought there was no money.
Yeah, suddenly they can just find $70,000 out of, and let's just point out that this job role is going to a longtime staffer of Rita Pritchett's.
And I would like to point out that this has nothing to do with this individual person who got put into this position. My biggest thing is the process in which this happened. Number one, why was it not publicly posted? Why was this job not publicly posted? Why did you not have to have experience in fire rescue? These are some things, I mean, scheduling and staffing a fire rescue unit is pretty particular because the schedule, the overtime, and on top of that, the shortages that we have right now, this is a pretty complicated
So
thing.
was this person just plugged into that?
That's what it looks
for
like.
favors?
I don't know about favors, but that's it. It just, I don't understand why it couldn't be done in a different way. Why couldn't it have been done with a process that didn't give the appearance of something not being above board?
The city manager of Titusville is poised to receive yet another raise on Tuesday, right?
Yes.
I'm sure Luis is not going to take this raise. He's going to step to the podium and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, I respectfully decline to take another cent, the people of Titusville. Seeing as though we raised taxes 7 out of the last 8 years, I cannot in good faith take this raise." What is the chances of that happening?
Slim. Tuesday is his performance evaluation. It will be brought up, and this is the first time that they've ever brought it up so early. Yeah, so early, and so there's some questionable procedures here that have kind of changed slightly that's interesting that they haven't done in the past. So I think everyone that lives in the city of Titusville should be watching this performance and looking out for it, and there'll be more information that's posted regarding it and people speaking on it. But just to remind you, he makes over $18,000 a month.
Wow. In Titusville.
And he makes more than that now because he just got that 3% raise with the budget that got approved, that cost of living raise. And so now he's going to get another performance raise.
And I think that his performance review, as it was released, I think he was only 2 points off of a perfect, right?
Perfectly perfect. And the thing for me is, with the many things going on in the city of Titusville, how can the council objectively look at the performance and say everything is perfect?
Well, who was it that said that? Joe Robinson. There's not perfect people, but there's perfect performances. Sorry, we don't see that. Potential approval of Robert Jordan to the hospital board is moved up. So there's a possibility that he's going to be they're going to try to approve him on the hospital board at the Titusville City Council meeting?
Yes, and it's the first time they've moved it up this soon. So that's also out of the ordinary. So they're going to be talking about reappointing him. I think he's been on that parish board
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Let's move on. I mean, term limits. Can we get some term limits across the board in some of these places? 20 years?
One of the things that I'm frustrated about with this whole thing is that, and not just with this appointment, but it seems like they've been appointing a lot of positions in the past, month, really the past few weeks. And I just think that it's inappropriate. It's like a president, it's like an outgoing president,
trying to get ahead of the game.
Right. And it's like, there's a whole new commission coming in, and it should be the new commission that should be appointing these seats, not the exiting commission with five minutes left. It's just not right.
And not just that, but I believe they're going to be talking about the Titusville Environmental Commission appointments as well. So that's something to keep an eye on.
So lots coming up, and that brings us to my 2 cents. I want to offer congratulations to Rick Lacey, Cindy Roberts, and the North Brevard Republican Club. You just did what you do best. You helped elect bad politicians into office. You're really good at it. Yes, you helped to elect 2 more to add to the numerous ones who currently are in opposition against the people of in Brevard County and the Constitution. You do a really good job at it. Sarah Stokel and Andrew Connors are your latest handiwork. Stokel is on record as thinking freedom is overrated and also standing in opposition to implementing the legitimate vote by a free people. It seems that she has never read a copy of the United States Constitution. I just can't believe that she has when you talk to her and you understand what she stands for. Connors has shown an affinity for using lawfare to undermine his political opposition. He did it twice within the last 2 months in incidents, and I'm sure that you were aware of that. If the citizens who deserve better than your old, tired views of politics want to know how we have gotten to the place where politicians in office care nothing for them, look no further than Rick Lacey, Cindy Roberts, and the North Brevard Republican Club. They are so consumed with identity politics that electing decent constitutional servants of the people is an afterthought. With this group, it's not what's right, it's who's right. The election of Stokel and Connors is a train wreck waiting to happen. We will remind you along the way of your masterful handiwork. You have done it like no one else before you. And that's my 2 cents, and you have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe our podcast.